whoa, whoa! Victoria, it's okay, it's just me.
Ugh, Giallo, man, you're really making me regret giving you the key.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I wanted to make sure I, give you the new Gialli movies I want you guys to see. You know I would never hurt you two. You guys are the only ones keeping my films alive.
I'll make sure Bill does one of his stupid videos for you.
That's my girl. I see you guys have some new friends as well. What is going on, my fellow movie nerds and geeks alike? Yes, much to the Black Glove Killer's delight, today we are talking about all the films contained in this beauty here, Forgotton Gialli Volume 8 from the fine folks over at Vinegar Syndrome. Now, unlike a deep dive like we did with Murder Rock last week, when it's multiple films like this in our Giallo tier list videos, we don't go too in-depth with the films, we don't spoil too much, we just kind of go over them briefly about the synopsis, characters, just some random quirky moments and stuff like that. And this time, I promise, I will not reveal the killer's identity and spoil too much on these films. And like always, to the uninitiated, let's break down briefly what a Giallo film is. Giallo refers to a subgenre of Italian horror and thriller films, characterized by a blend of mystery, suspense, intense musical score, and often stylized violence, typically featuring a masked or black glove killer, and a focus on psychological themes. The word Giallo itself means yellow in Italian, and why it's used here is because it also originates from the crime and mystery thriller novels that were written back in the day. And without any more dilly-dallying, let's get into the films in this set. The first film we're going to be talking about is Rings of Fear from 1978, aka Enigma. Rosso, aka the Red Rings of Fear. A detective investigating the murder of a teenage girl begins to focus his suspicions on the three girlfriends of the victim, who call themselves the Inseparables. This is an interesting one. This is, of course, one of those films that is considered one of the schoolgirls in peril films. It's essentially Fabio Testi, yes, Fabio Testi from amazing Italian genre films. He plays the inspector in this one, and he is going around trying to solve this murder of a girl who washes up at the bottom of a dam. He is interviewing all these people at this private school where all these girls go. He's diving deep into all the weird intricacies of this school and all the strange behaviors of all the teachers and professors at this school, and just trying to figure out how this girl ended up here, why the hell she was murdered, and why is this like weird trio of girls, the Inseparables, talked about so oddly. Like, are they like the school bullies from like Mean Girls or something? Now, if you're familiar with the Schoolgirls in Peril trilogy, Massimo Dallamano was originally going to direct this movie in order to complete the Schoolgirl in Peril trilogy that he started with What Have You Done to Solange? What Have They Done to Your Daughters? But he died in a car crash before this one went into production. So all the reins went to Alberto Negrin, and he says he took a lot of inspiration from Dario Argento's Cat of Nine Tails, which you can kind of see in a lot of like the killer POV shots and just some of like the set design. Now, admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of the Schoolgirl in Peril kind of films. I'm more into like super sexualized, ultra violent, just over the top sleazy Giallo films. I guess that comes from like my American horror backstory here. I still thought this one was great. It's very quirky and very bizarre. It ends up being like a bizarro sex trafficking, like kind of orgy situation going on with all these girls, with like this organization within the school. And like they have to turn to murder in order to keep themselves from going to prison. It's very weird and out there. What kind of makes this movie kind of a little boring to me is that it's very slow paced. Like, you have this amazing, almost American action star in Fabio Testi, who's just like this brooding action star thrown into this mix as like this machismo guy, like trying to solve all these murders, but he isn't given much to do. Like, his investigation is very slow. Like, the middle of this movie is kind of like a slog to get through, and it's just taking him forever to figure anything out. And another thing, like, if you're looking for like really dark, insane, gory kills, they're not here. They're kind of mediocre. That's not to say some of the kills aren't awesome. There is one involving the professor from Pieces, who is also in this movie. He is curling his hair with an analog hair curler. Yes, an analog hair curler. I've never seen anything like this. It's like a piece of metal that he's heating up over an open flame and he's curling his hair. Well, the killer shows up and takes that thing and just jams it into his jugular. I thought that was awesome and super original. And there's also like a kill involving like some marbles on a stair set that I thought was very original and interesting. What's funny to me in this one is that all the bodies that end up washing ashore in this movie at the edge of this dam are all wrapped in plastic. So Vicky and I were looking at each other. Twin Peaks much?
She's dead. Wrapped in plastic.
But like I said, it's just kind of slow paced and kind of takes a while to get going. The reveal isn't all that great. You kind of see it coming from a mile away. The inseparable girls aren't very memorable, but it's obviously going to be involving someone within this school. In very Giallo fashion, there's so many red herrings, so many people that could be involved, but what I really loved is there's a second twist near the end of the film involving like this little girl that I did not see coming, and I was laughing my ass off being like, get the fuck out of here. The organization and like who the killers are in this film are kind of obvious, but the second twist is just fantastic. Fabio Testi, just like this big brooding guy, just essentially like letting this person go at the end was hilarious to me, and I thought it was really quirky, and I just loved it. Because it's almost like schlocky, whereas like most of the other schoolgirls in peril movies are just very serious and almost hard to watch. This one is like, throws all that out the window by the end of this film and becomes a total campy cheese fest. And another interesting tidbit about this one is the score is done by Riz Ortolani, who you'll remember from Cannibal Holocaust. His work is always fantastic. This is undeniably well made, and it's bizarrely humorous and campy given the subject matter. That's mostly thanks in part to Testi and the out of left field ending twist that they throw at you. So this one for me is going to end up in the good tier. And next up in this box set was Reflections in Black from 1975. A number of women are brutally murdered. It quickly becomes apparent that all the victims are connected to a woman who had been having illicit affairs with them. This was a surprise for me. Not that it was like super great, but I really loved that this one is essentially a classic, no frills, straight to the point, right by the book, Giallo film. There's red herrings galore, a blundering police force, a bunch of quirky characters, it's stylishly shot, and as the plot suggests, there's lots of nudity and sleaze. You got your razor-wielding black glove killer, and the J&B whiskey is just flowing. It has a wonderful murder mystery for us to follow along with. What made this one a lot of fun is all the quirky characters. We have Giallo Queen herself, Dagmar Lassander, as like this queen bee who is just like essentially taking all these young women, and you don't know what's going on because there's this weird element of like, are these women being sex trafficked? Is there like a drug trafficking thing going on here? It all ends up being like this weird like government kind of like conspiracy thing going on. Like a lot of like government people are all involved in this weird drug trafficking, sex trafficking thing. It's very cool, and Dagmar Lassander ends up being the wife of a notary to this huge guy who doesn't want his name besmirched, but she's over here like sleeping with all these women. Just weird, quirky characters popping up all over the place. Director Tano Cimarosa has a role as a detective in this film, and he's essentially the inspector's assistant, and his spicy attitude like really steals the show. Like, you don't even like care at all about the regular blundering inspector. It's really funny, and it's just cool that he wrote himself into this movie and did such a great job and just has so many humorous bits. There's this weird like bizarro character who's like having sex with like all the women in this movie, like including like young girls, which is like, ugh. He's wearing this like Canadian tuxedo made out of bedazzled denim shit, and it just like, I couldn't help but think the whole time, I'm like, dude, this is Disco Stew from The Simpsons, man.
Hey, Disco Stew doesn't advertise.
But yeah, like I said, Dagmar Lassander, the Giallo queen herself, people surrounding her just keep winding up dead. Doesn't really get fully fleshed out, which is kind of like spoils the whole movie for me anyway. You're led to believe our killer is clearly female, like the movie even starts out during a kill. Woman being sliced by our black glove razor wielding killer, and it's clearly a woman. But you're led to believe like, okay, the killer is definitely, it's gotta be Dagmar, right? But there's a beautiful twist at the end that you will not see coming. Is it our disco stew motherfucker? Is it one of these girls that Dagmar's sleeping with? Is it actually Dagmar? Is it one of these government people? Hell, is it one of the inspectors? Is it this weird kid that is like the son of this famous sex photographer? Marco! Was it the hairdresser that's just weird? Oh no, it couldn't be, because he just ends up killing himself. What the fuck is going on here? Bruh. It's crazy, quirky. The quirky characters really make this one kind of fun. There's not really anything like great or bad about it, but I did appreciate just like how comforting it is to watch like a very bare bones Giallo film. Let me know down below if you watched this one and were just like kind of like, really, that was the reveal? Because that's the feeling I had. I was like, you know what, I almost would have rather it been the person they lead you to believe it is. Since there's not really like a lot to propel this one into the stratosphere, this one's just gonna go in the meh tier because it's just okay, very bare bones, but still a fun one to watch. And next up is AAA Masseuse, Good Looking, Offers Her Services from 1972. Yes, that is the title of this film. Young Christina runs away from home to satisfy her desire for independence and money, much to her father's disappointment. She becomes a call girl, but soon after meeting a pimp named Oscar, some of her new clients meet an untimely demise. I really enjoyed this one, much like Reflections in Black. It's another classic by-the-book Giallo film. A call girl is sleeping with clients when suddenly everyone she's sleeping with begins being murdered by a black glove razor-wielding person in black. There's red herrings all over, a lacking police presence, and there's ample nudity and sleaze. Duh. I mean, come on, look at the title alone. Bruh. And there's a web of mysterious, quirky people. I think a fun, interesting plot point of this one is, rather than wearing like the black gloves of classic Giallo killer lore, is the killer in this one is wearing like dishwashing yellow latex gloves. I liked that, just kind of sets it apart at least a little bit. I think genre fans will really enjoy this one, mainly because you'll see Howard Ross from the New York Ripper and 5 Women for the Killer as the pimp to our new hooker Christina. I love that actor. He's just so weird and out there. Io non sono assassino. But there's so many other quirky people in this film, like the parents of this girl, Christina. Hell, the father looks like William H. Macy to me. They're just like constantly worried about her. There's so many interesting clients that she meets that are just like these rich, wealthy people that are just like into like really weird, like kinky sex stuff. Her roommate is like this weird, like smart architect, and her boyfriend is like into Christina. All these quirky people are what make these Giallo films fun. I think the reveal of this one is just kind of painfully obvious, but like the motivation is obviously there. I don't want to reveal who it is, but it's just like, girls, don't disappoint your fathers. When the credits start rolling, was that a Jimi Hendrix song or an Italian Jimi Hendrix song? It was cool and interesting. I think what bothered me about this one is that like the sex scenes are kind of like really long and awkward, and our lead actress Christina is awkward in playing them, which I guess makes sense for her character since she's new to this hooker lifestyle, but Jesus, they go on for a long time. It's just bizarre, especially like the kinky weird stuff that these guys want Christina to do. You're just like, ugh. Gore is light and the story is kind of mediocre, but just like Reflections in Black, I find comfort in the straightforward approach of this Giallo film. It's just kind of whatever, but I find comfort in that, and that's why I love Giallo films, is like most of the time they're just pretty good. The way they're shot is always just so stylish. The characters are always really weird and bizarro, and I love it. Even though the gore's light, the nudity is all over the place, it's still just a lot of fun to watch these. But much like Reflections in Black, this one's gonna go into the meh tier because it's just meh. It's fine. There's nothing crazy, nothing terrible. It's just whatever. Alright guys, so those were all the films in Forgotton Gialli Volume 8. Do let me know down below what you think of the films. And like I always say, everyone's opinion is going to be different. Film is subjective. You might love these films, you might hate these films, or you might completely agree with me. I'm just here to give you my thoughts on these films, so I implore you, watch them for yourselves. Form your own opinion. This is Vicky and I's first time watching these movies, so it's fun to add them to this tier list and see where they stack up against all the rest of the films we've seen. And speaking of our tier list, if you want to dive into how we created this tier list, we have an awesome playlist of all our Giallo films right on the channel down below. We love you all for checking out any of the silly stuff we do over here, and I assure you, we will see you soon. Always remember, the horrors persist, but so do we. Alright guys, we will see you at the next video. Adios.